Hey, welcome to the Monday Night live stream. I think my voice is doubling. I think you're right, Vin. Do you have your mic on? I'm going to bring you in just a moment.
I think my mic was on the whole time.
Oh, no. All right, so welcome to the Monday Night live stream. We were just playing through a little bit of David Bowie's Let's Dance. I'm going to bring in my buddy in just a moment. So tonight is the first of sort of a new idea that we have, a new little series. And basically what we're going to do is take drummers that were influenced by and go through tracks that they've done throughout their careers and highlight different parts that we're really inspired by. Inspired by? Who says inspired? And then, and you know, I'm always looking at fills, so look for the fun fills and setups that are in those tunes. So tonight we're doing Tony Thompson, and most notably, he was the drummer for Chic and played with tons of artists that he just recorded with. But he's very well known for The Power Station, Robert Palmer, Madonna, David Bowie, and of course Chic, his first gig. But before we get into all of that, I'm going to bring in my bud Vincent LaRussa, and I'm setting up a new screen tonight, so this is a whole thing for me. So here we go. Ready? And LaRussa. There he is in the corner. That's the LaRussa button. So Vincent LaRussa, by the way, is a very talented musician who started out as a drum student of mine and has now become a trader and started playing bass. And so I thought this was a great opportunity for Vincent. I mean, how long has it been since you're back playing bass?
It'll be about 2 years.
Okay.
Next month.
So, you know, so Vin's back in the saddle with his bass because you did start out on that, like back in your...
In the mid-'90s, I really got into it, and I played in the cover band for a couple of years.
Gotcha. So, so like I said, he's a trader, and...
That's why I am the bass invader.
Bass invader, right? He's wearing the appropriate shirt for tonight. That's great. So, you know, we're going to basically go through a few tracks and kind of break down some parts and stuff. And I thought it would be really fun to do it live in the room because obviously we can't pull this off remotely. Well, there are some ways that potentially could work, but much better being in the same room together. And being that we live in the same neighborhood, it was really easy for Vin just to come over, and I just tease him with burritos and espresso, and then he comes over. So we're now this first tune that we played. What's some background on this that you know?
Well, I know this is a David Bowie tune. It Nile Rodgers produced. Also, notably, has Stevie Ray Vaughan on lead guitar, which I don't know if a lot of people know that, but it's a synthesizer bass. But I tried to do my best to emulate it, playing with a pick. Yeah, it's one of many tunes that Nile produced on that record.
Very cool. And by the way, we'll just say hello real quick, and some of the regulars that are in the chat. We got Pat Ross on Facebook and YouTube.
Yeah, Pat Ross.
Happy Monday, Jim and Vincent LaRussa. So glad you're here hanging with us tonight. Bob Sears is in the house. Lucia is in the house, as always. So I think we're going to dig into, before we get into too much history, I think we're going to play through a couple little parts from this, because I just want to highlight a couple of things that definitely have rubbed off in my playing from Tony's playing. And that first tune, the sort of verse groove, the intro groove and the verse groove, let's just play through that real quick. It's a really tight quarter note feel. By the way, Tony Thompson was a very hard-hitting drummer. I think there's an interview where Nile Rodgers says that Tony Thompson was the loudest drummer he ever worked with. So kind of up there with the Bonham school of drumming. So let's play this little verse groove.
This is Let's Dance.
Let's Dance, yeah. 1, 2, 1. that little groove, and I'm trying to do it justice. It's a tight little groove. I love the quarter note hi-hat feel. And then Tony, of course, with his big barks. Not barks, big openings, which is going to become a running theme through all the grooves that we're going to look at tonight, where basically you're going to hear a lot in Tony's playing that he's opening on the beat. And more so than on the ands. There's a lot of kind of openings on the beat type of openings that I really like, and definitely inspired me as a young drummer. And so let's see. Let's look at, and there's a couple little key fills in this tune. So, and these are definitely Tonyisms. So the top, do the little build up. That one, simple fill, right? I'm not going to keep muting because we're going to be talking about these little fills, but there's a lot of those kind of fills coming out of Tony's playing, and you'll hear it, that's sort of a recurring theme through a lot of the tunes. And then there's some cool fills towards the end of the next verse into the next chorus. Should we set that up?
Sure.
Let's do like 8 bars, 8 bars before the pre-chorus, because I just want to play the little rough C one. 1, 2, 3. Yeah, so that, those little fills, racketing, shaka, I love those. Those little fills, and he does 2 of them. The first one he goes, and the second one, and you notice that he's kind of develops it further as he goes along, and it's kind of a cool thing that being that here's a guy that's like a really hard-hitting groove drummer. And I think he's totally underrated. It's like he didn't really get enough props. You know what I mean? Like, Vin, would you say he's like an underdog in the recording industry, kind of, in a way?
Absolutely. I don't know how many people know his name as a session drummer.
Right,
as
right.
opposed to other guys who, like the Jeff Porcaros and those type of guys. Oh, I'm supposed to look there.
Look at the camera.
Over there. All right.
But you're right. Yeah, you're right. And, we're going to talk about, other drummers throughout this series. I mean, this is the first one in, hopefully what is going to be an ongoing series once a month to talk about what we're calling Groove Masters. And we're going to do some James Gadsden. We have a list of guys coming up. Some lesser known, some more known. We have a cool surprise where there'll be a couple of guests. And but for the moment, I had Tony on my mind for this first one because I think I kind of discovered him, after high school. I graduated from high school in 1985. The Power Station album came out at that time. My buddy Dave Clive, who I was studying percussion with, xylophone and timpani and stuff, he turned me on to the drum chart for this tune, for Some Like It Hot from Power Station. That's how I found out about Tony. And when I was a kid, I was like, man, Tony Thompson, Tony Williams. I was like, these two Tonys. It's like, for me, I know this is really not a similar comparison, but Tony Thompson to me was like the intensity of the Tony Williams is for jazz. Tony Thompson was for groove music, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Cool. So for Let's Dance, I think we pretty much covered. There is one really cool fill near the end, which is a Tony thing, and you'll notice that he does this kind of thing. So let's do the same thing. I guess we could do the 8 bars. This is in the middle of the 8 bars, this one, going into the next pre-chorus. So it'll be in the first set of 4 that we do. 1, 2, 3, 4. So like that feel, that kind of thing. And actually, I screwed up because he goes to the hat. So he goes, yeah. So those are kind of cool little fills and just powerful, very much deliberate, you know, every note. Super, super deliberate and thought about, giving care to every note. All right, now we're going to move Let's Dance along. And, you know, Tony Thompson was born in Queens, New York. I don't know if you guys know that. And also, I mean, you know, something that's kind of worth mentioning. So he was born in November 15th, 1954. And he passed right before his 49th birthday. So I don't know if you guys know, but he's since passed on. And he passed in 2003, a few days before his 49th birthday. So, you know, very short-lived, died way too young, but super talented guy. Now, and he comes from Queens, you know, just regular middle-class family in Queens. And, you know, I think that he brought sort of a little sophistication to drumming for the disco age. And he got hired, like he was, 17?
Yeah.
When he got hired by Chic. So his boss was Nile Rodgers, right, in the Chic outfit.
Well, the interesting thing is that he wound up having 2 bosses from Chic. He had Bernard Edwards,
right,
and Nile, who produced.
So Bernard Edwards was playing bass?
Bernard Edwards was playing bass, and he wound up producing the Power Station stuff.
Got it. Cool. Speaking of Chic, I think we're going to dig into a couple Chic things. Now, you know, the funny thing, and this is, to me, you know, is kind of an interesting thing. Like, as a kid, I didn't appreciate this stuff right away. I would say that, you know, I grew up listening to rock albums, right? And I was turned on to, as a young kid, very young kid, these bands. Initially, I remember hearing about Boston, the group Boston. So I was turned on to Boston. Simultaneously, my dad turned me on to Dave Brubeck. So I got this love for jazz and then the rock band Boston. And then my cousin turned me on to Lynyrd Skynyrd. And he was a big Southern rock fan, and he played piano. So he would play the jam session from Freebird on the piano. And I was always like, oh, my God, that's incredible. And then listening to Artemis Pyle play, and he had those weird hi-hat barks, and I was like, oh, that's really cool. And
Talk
so
about an underrated drummer.
Yeah, for sure, man. And you know, the crazy thing with that is, you know, the whole disco thing was happening, and I was pretty much ignoring it. I was like, disco, boo. Not really realizing that, like, the rhythm section stuff, some of the horn section stuff, this is like pre-synth disco, really, if you think about it. The beginning of the disco era was people playing. It wasn't so programmed, and it wasn't just drum machines. You know, guys were playing. Tony Thompson was playing drums on these Chic records. And the bass playing is ridiculous. It's just great bass lines. Mm-hmm. So I later came to appreciate that stuff by having to play tons of disco on club dates and working in a working band. R&B bands, working in club date bands, and getting paid to play covers, and then having to play sets and sets of disco, and then came to appreciate everything that was going on because me and the bass player would have to lock it down really hard. So let's play this. What are we going to play? Let's play I Want Your Love by Chic, and play that bass line, the bass line, the opening bass line.
I Want Your Love?
Yeah. And like hearing that when you hear that groove, like as a drummer, I think a lot of drummers might like, if they were just going to start playing with a bass player, might start playing something that sounds like the bass line, right? So like they might go 1, 2, 3, 4. Which is fine, but that wasn't the job. The job for Chic was, and Tony Thompson says this in an interview, he had bosses, and he had to play what was expected of him for those tunes. So he actually plays this on the record, and it feels great. And notice there's one little accent in the middle of the bar that I think is worth noting that he was doing. So here's that tune. I'm not going to mute anymore. We're just going to let it go.
I gave up on that.
One, two. I'm going to give you that pickup drum fill. So 1, 2. And so the reason I kept playing that for a while is because, so he had to, how long is that tune?
It was about, I don't know.
4 minutes?
4 minutes, it was going to say. Yeah.
So like it wasn't to the point where they were, songs were like 2:85 or 3 minutes at most. Songs were a little bit longer. There's a whole thing that happens in there with strings and like all this stuff.
Well, also the idea was to keep people on the dance floor.
Oh yeah,
you don't want
right?
to have a
Because
short
this
song.
is obviously dance music, right?
Mhm.
But what I love about it, first of all, when I first started doing club dates and I was working for a band leader that I'm not going to mention, like when I was a kid and I started doing club dates, he was like, "No, man, you're playing disco wrong," and I was playing this groove. And that's the accent I was talking about. He's going a 3. He's got this little, and he doesn't do it with the kick drum. Occasionally, it might be subtly pushed in there. But I think he was doing it with the hi-hat to do that little push. But that would have been too heavy and would detract from the groove. So he played it up here. And actually play the bass line because it lines up with the bass accents as well. 1, 2, 3, 4. Right? So I love the 1 and 3. And so my band leader when I was a kid was like, "No, man, disco's always this." Which it's not. I mean, there are disco records that obviously have that, but in general, a lot of the early 70s disco was 1 and 3 on the kick drum, which is way funkier to me, right? I mean, that same bass line, if I put 4 on the floor, I think it's way too much, and it's not on the record, but just to experiment, 1, 2, 3, 4. On the floor, 1 and 3. Tanzan Over says Vincent was forced to listen to Chic.
That's my dad.
From me playing it all the time. That's your dad?
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. Hey, Papa, what's going on? Papa LaRussa in the house. That's awesome. I didn't even realize that. Hey, man, John Gill, how you doing, brother? Good to see you here. I miss you, brother. I'm going to be seeing you pretty soon, I think. So for like the disco stuff, and what about Freak Out? Let's just play a little piece of that. It's a little brighter, right? So 1, 2, 3, 4. So, that one, again, 1 and 3 in the verse, but he did keep that opening hi-hat thing, but not on all the ands, just before the backbeat. So on the and of 1, and of 3, which is a very James Brown kind of opening. And of course, when I've done that with bands and we have a big horn section, we take a little bit of liberties, but I stay pretty much to the track, because I think it deserves staying to the track.
So for probably their most popular song, "Good Times," what was his approach on that?
Oh yeah. Play the bass line first of all. So first of all, that was sampled and put on
Rapper's Delight.
Rapper's Delight.
Yes.
So Tony Thompson's groove, and that's Bernard Edwards.
Yes.
And the groove on that is the same, basically.
Is it?
But 1, 2, 3, 4. And on that one, he's accenting the ands. And again, 1 and 3 on the kick. And of course, there's been remixes, like awful remixes, where they put 4 on the floor and they just, make it sound like a quantized mess. But for me, that 1 and 3 thing keeps it sort of in the rock vein and the dance vein all at once. It's sort of, think about, like Phil Rudd playing disco.
Yeah.
What if Back in Black was a disco tune? 2, 3, 4. Pa-down, 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 pa-down. That could be horns. Ba-da, 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 boom. So, anyway, but the Tony Thompson had that rock sensibility, really a hard-hitting sort of rock player, right? So that tune, and what's funny is with the Chic thing. So there's one song, I'm you don't know it, right?
The slow tune?
The slow one.
Yeah. No,
there's one tune on the record, which I'll tell you the name of it. Can't Stand to Love You.
Yeah.
That's like one of these. And the rest of it is total disco, right? But there's one that's like... Right, and it's totally grooving and like slow and slinky, and it's like, man, oh, we got to keep things moving. All right, Vin gave me the, all right, AC DC disco grooves. Oh, that's funny. That's so funny, man. Don's in here and he goes, was confused because I arrived late, but realized that from the backgrounds, your sync is so good because he's actually here. Yeah, that's true. He is actually here. Don O'Keefe, welcome to the party, dude. What's happening? So we talked about the Chic days. So that's 70s stuff. And the thing that we played before we played Let's Dance, that's like 1983.
So the story is, as I know it, is that because disco got such a backlash, especially in like 79 going into 80, that Nile Rodgers decided, you know what, rather than doing this disco thing, I'm going to start producing some other artists,
right,
and just focus my attention on that. And I think Bernard did the same thing. So
nice. So let's bring it up to let's talk about Material Girl.
Okay.
So Nile Rodgers produced Madonna's second record.
Yes.
This is Madonna's second record.
Like a Virgin.
Like a Virgin. This came out in 1984. The second record, and it was released November 12th, 1984, very close to Tony Thompson's birthday on Sire Records. And little known fact, I don't know if you guys know this, and I have to ask him about this. Dave Weckl played on this record also. And Dave Weckl played on Angel.
Yes.
You're an Angel or Angel?
Angel.
Yeah, Angel. And one other track, I can't remember at the moment, but and Tony Thompson was on the rest of the record, but Dave Weckl played on 2 tracks on this record. And I have to ask him about that experience and if they ever passed, in the studio in passing. They were probably there on different days, but just who knows? Maybe he ran into Tony Thompson. Be an interesting story. So I have to ask Dave about that, and I will. So we'll find out. But Material Girl is kind of an interesting thing, and again, I think that it's that hard hitting thing that he's got in the fills, but the groove is a little lighter, right? I mean, yeah. I think. Let me get my charts together because I'm actually reading this one. But he's playing sort of this, again, subtle disco-ish thing. He's got those on the beat barks in there, on the beat opens, and so we'll just play it and then I'll talk about it. But it's kind of got some interesting Tony-isms in it for sure. Let me see, what do we got for tempo? 120. YMCA. All right, I'm gonna give you the little kick drum.
Yeah.
All right. 1, 2. So that tune, and on the record, I think the way that they worked on the drum sound on the record, it sounds a little bit kind of drum machine-y almost, just the way that it was EQ'd and stuff. However, he is playing this eighth note pattern and bringing in this sort of upbeat ska feel almost. So like the verse groove, and then every fourth bar or every second bar in the verse, he does the hi-hat openings with the on the beat. which I love, and I rip that really early in my playing. But so let's just play that 4-bar, like the 4-bar loop of the verse. 1, 2, 3. I'll give you the 1, 2, 3. So I kind of like his treatment, of the groove in that. And then he keeps the same thing really in the chorus. And the only transitional thing are these few fills going into, they're great fills. I mean, all the fills going into the choruses. So the first one, he does that, right? And then the second one, he does that, that's the second one. And actually, in context, if you think about it, the first one is half a bar, the next one is a full bar, and then the third one, he just makes it bigger. So we have, let's do 4 bars with the transition fill, and then stop, and then 4 bars with the other transition fill, stop. I'm going to do all the 3 fills.
Going into the chorus, right?
Yeah, so
okay.
4 bars before the chorus. 1, 2, 3, 4. Then the next one, 2, 3, 4. Right? Then the third one, 1, 2, 3, 4. And that one, shows up in a lot of Tony stuff. That type of feel. Like it was in that other tune with he put the kick on the downbeats though, but he went. Then this one, there's a few that are just like that. And then the last one going to the coda of the tune, he plays something similar to what we heard in the Robert Palmer thing. Did we do that yet? We didn't do that yet. Actually, that's in the David Bowie too.
Yeah.
So those are good fills, man. And
what I really love about it is that you got to remember at that time in 1984, the Lynn drum machine was being put on a lot of records, and Prince was using it. This was a drum fill you would never hear programmed on the drum machine.
Oh yeah. Yeah, not at all.
And that's why even back then I loved that record because of the real drums.
Yep.
And of course Tony's playing.
Yeah. And definitely check that record out, for like what Dave played on it. That's an early recording for Dave Weckl as well, because Material Girl was 1984, I believe. And so we had, we went through like 1978. We went through 1983 with David Bowie. We went through Material Girl 1984. And then I think I want to... Let's just talk about Robert Palmer for a second. Do you know the Addicted to Love bass line?
I think I went over it right before we started.
Yeah. Do you have it in your head? Oh, yeah, that's it. So this one, Robert Palmer, who is later his Power Station bandmate, the Power Station bandmate, because the band is called The Power Station, which I always just called them Power Station, but it's The Power Station. I didn't realize that. But what year was, let me see. I wrote this down.
I thought that was 85.
Yeah, Robert Palmer, Riptide, 1985. So he played on this Riptide album. There's only 2 tracks on it that he didn't play on, and I can't remember the other drummer's name, but those were definitely not hits. By the way, the first song that you hear on the Riptide album, you're just going to go, why? Why is that even there? I have no idea. But there's some big hits on that record. And so the Addicted to Love thing, what I love about it, again, is these on-the-beat openings. And then I'm going to say hello in the chat because I just saw that somebody's cat fell. I don't know. All right, so here we go. We got Addicted to Love. 1, 2, 3, 4. what's funny too? When he goes back into the second verse, he plays the opening on the 1, and he does it a couple times in the song, and then he immediately plays it on the 3, which to me sounds like a mistake, and maybe they just left it. But coming out of the break where he says, "Face it, you're addicted to love," and they do the little bump. So we'll do 1, 2, bump, and I'll play the openings just because I think it sounds like a mistake. But 1, 2, bump. Right, so it's weird that it's like, but I like it on the 3, and I've definitely used that a bunch of times. And I like that he plays a full quarter note and gives the quarter note its full value. It's not.
Yeah.
It's. So when you play that, you have to go, which you'll hear coming out of my mouth in headphones.
What about the other Robert Palmer tune?
Oh, yeah. So, and then I'll do the chat. So there's one other Robert Palmer that's worth mentioning. And this one's also 121, which is the same tempo as that other thing we just played. I don't remember. Material Girl. But so this one, so there's a tune. What tune am I thinking of? Oh, yeah.
I didn't mean to turn you on.
I didn't mean to turn you on. This is also on the same record on that Robert Palmer album, and it was written by Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis, and it was originally recorded by Sherelle. And Sherelle was this singer. She had a background singing career for a bunch of people, and then she put out this record, and they programmed, I'm talking heavily programmed, this drum groove. It does not sound human. So much like things that Prince has done. And then, so when Robert Palmer covered this tune, Addicted, I Didn't Mean to Turn You On, Tony kind of adapted the drum machine pattern, but made it playable and made it kind of cooler, I think, like way cooler. But here's that groove. So it's I'll give you a little kick drum pickup. 1, 2. So that groove, that's a very cool little, kind of assimilating to this programmed idea, but way, way more grooving to me. Obviously, it's a real player. But yeah, that's pretty cool. And I stole that for sure. I don't know that I heard it first there. I think I stole the concept from Stuart Copeland, but I use a lot of those little triplet, which, by the way, is a single double combination, right, left, right, that I use. So, and I like that a lot because it's something you can toss in easily without obstructing the groove, right? So, like, right? So that kind of thing. And, and even in modern dance stuff, it works really well. Like if you are playing some 4 on the floor, like up tempo. So, it's a cool little thing, but he was doing this, on that record, 1985. Definitely hear that kind of stuff in Stuart Copeland's playing. So love the little triplet doodads. Oh, yeah. He had an offset hi-hat position too. Oh, cool, man. I have to look into that. Mark Fogel said that.
Interesting. I did not know that.
Why wasn't Vincent moving like the girls in the Robert Palmer video?
Believe me, you don't want to see that.
Lena is clicking likes and hearts on the video. She appreciates you guys. And Tony Thompson, nice. Lena's dancing. Lena is about this big and a very pint-size background dancer for us. Awesome. We're loving it. Never knew Weckl played on that. Yeah, who knew, right? So, it's kind of fun, man. When you start digging into people's discographies, you discover all kinds of stuff, I mean, same thing with Tony Thompson. There's some stuff that I didn't know about that he had played on, and some things I didn't really like, I have to say. But on the big records, man, he really brought it, and he played some really, really interesting stuff. What do you have to say about the Robert Palmer thing? Anything from a production standpoint to speak of, or anything that we know about that?
I mean, I just think that the thing that also works that we're not mentioning and we're not playing is the other instruments that kind of fill in.
Right.
And also why he played what he played on the drums. It's not just a bass thing. It's like what the keys are doing, what the guitars were doing. It's
Addicted to Love has a synth pattern that's going on. It's some kind of a arpeggiator or something that's like running through it, right?
I think so.
There's the horn kind of thing too, but there's also like a running thing. So even though his groove is like big and fat and wide and there's all this little production stuff going on inside of there and the nooks and crannies that are very cool.
Yeah.
Definitely worth checking out, right? So we went through like the Madonna thing, 1984. We did Let's Dance, David Bowie, 1983. I want to go back to 1980, and we're going to do a quick switch over. Vin's going to pick up a guitar because I need him to play some chords for me. But I think this is really worth mentioning. And this is like one of those things where I heard this drum part. We're just going to play a little bit of it, and then see if you know what it is when we start playing it. And then so this is from 1980. But there's some like very cool approach to this tune, which I don't know who came up with this. If it was just like Tony was like, yeah, he's going to bring something different, or if this was, the producer saying like, hey, we need you. Is this Nile Rodgers producing?
Yes.
Okay, so this is a Nile Rodgers thing. So it very could be Nile Rodgers influence, but we'll get to it. We'll play a little bit. So.
Well, the one thing about Nile Rodgers' records, he played on a lot of records. So when you hear the guitar riff on this, it's Nile who played on it.
Right. That's right. Nile is a great guitar player. And by the way...
And now you have me.
I saw Nile... So I took my wife to see Cher, right? And we go to the Cher show, and the opening act, Nile Rodgers and Chic, killing it. Holy moly. It was like, what? Okay, so let's do... so we're going to take this... Okay, I just want to get the tempo for this. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. Now he's going to switch to bass because we got to talk about the groove that's coming up. But so that whole drum intro is, I think, it's almost a drum solo, first of all. There are repeating patterns. But this is on a Diana Ross tune. So this is on I'm Coming Out, 1980. Nile Rodgers producing, Diana Ross on drums. No, Tony Thompson on drums. And the fact that he's playing all fills for the whole beginning of this tune. You don't get away with that on records almost ever anymore, at least in dance music, right? They don't have they don't have the patience for it. Now, of course, that was the background guitar part, which is kind of it's up in the mix, but Diana Ross's voice is like a powerhouse voice right on top of that. And
the horns too.
And the horns. So there's all this stuff going on, and then there's this chank, chank, chank guitar part, and Tony's just ripping out all these little groove fills, right? Groove fills. And there's a lot of spots where you hear his hi-hat foot. Reminds me of Bonham, like Launchpad hi-hat foot stuff right before he plays some of this stuff. But I'm going to play the fill that goes into the chorus, because we have like a little chorus. Then we're going to play some verse, and then we're going to go to a pre-chorus and chorus again. Yeah?
So we're taking it from what now?
So we'll go from right into the chorus where the bass enters.
Okay.
So I'll give you that opening fill. So we got... You know what? I took that too fast.
Okay.
I'm going to slow it down.
Okay.
Because I can't play that song at that tempo. I just realized. So we're going to play it at the correct tempo in the verse. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, so that I love the grooves in that tune. So first of all, again, in his style, he's hitting his hands on the hi-hats, so suggesting the sort of heavy disco thing, the two feel, the upbeats, without really going there. So it's in his hands, and it also has a little bit of a Latin feel to it, I think. So chorus groove is this: 2, 3. Right? There's that little horn hit that I just missed. But so that's the chorus groove. So he's doing that. Which you could give a nod back to the Chic stuff with those upbeats, but now he's actually playing that kick drum pattern that we kind of heard in which one? The one that I always forget the name of.
I Want Your Love.
I Want Your Love. And then the verse thing is kind of cool because he answers the bass part with this little hi-hat opening on the E-and of every other bar. So here's the verse groove. 2, 3. Right? And then there's that build-up, and there's, you know, Diana Ross sets up that chorus with this, you know, she's belting it out, and it's just this little, so I love that. Now, the whole intro thing, I was so drawn to that. I'm not like, you know, I can appreciate Diana Ross. I don't listen to Diana Ross on a regular basis, but that tune... Jeez, he did something different, right? No one else did that before, and especially, you know, there is a shortened version of this, but listen to the full version of I'm Coming Out by Diana Ross, and listen, like that intro is pretty long. So he has actually 5 4-bar sections of fills. So there's like 4 bars up front, and then 5 4-bar sections of fills before they even get into the tune, which I think is awesome.
Which is probably a good segue for the last tune.
For the last tune.
Kind of similar in a way.
Yeah, it is. It is kind of similar in a way, right? How we doing on time?
We got 5 minutes.
We got 5 minutes. Perfect timing.
Yeah.
So, and by the way, the one thing about I'm Coming Out is she goes back to it. Tony goes back to it at the end of the tune, and there's a whole nother set of fills.
Yeah.
Which I kind of even like better. I love what he did at the end of the tune, which is worth mentioning. I would play all of that, but we're probably running out of time. So let's talk about, so then fast forward, so this is 1980, we were talking about Diana Ross. Fast forward past Madonna, past Robert Palmer, which is where he met Robert Palmer, doing that record, and then Robert Palmer becomes part of this super group called the Power Station with the Duran Duran guys.
Yep.
Do you know any backstory on that?
I do not, other than it's the bass player and the guitar player from Duran Duran.
From Duran Duran,
Yep.
and Robert Palmer singing,
Yep.
and Tony Thompson on drums, and they put out this record. They did a cover of
Bang a Gong.
Bang a Gong by
T-Rex.
T-Rex, and I hate that, by the way. No, I shouldn't say hate. I don't enjoy that, the T-Rex thing, because it's just not my thing, right? So I just don't, and I don't like any version of that tune. That's just me, though.
But how do you really feel?
But I'll tell you how I really feel.
I guess we're not doing that one.
I thought that Patrick Ross's cat fell, but he fell asleep.
Oh,
okay, so that's good.
I feel much
that's
better.
Different. And so I'm just gonna play this this kind of Diana Ross thing, and Nile Rodgers producing both of these things. No.
This is Bernard Edwards.
Bernard Edwards.
Yes, but
who's from Chic? Influence,
Yeah.
right? From Tony Thompson's early days. So we have the playing that he did on I'm Coming Out, and then this similar kind of thing going on in Some Like It Hot. And in my mind, I'm thinking like, Diana Ross must have been like, man, I love what he did in Some Like It Hot. He should do that something on my record. And then I'm like, oh, that came out 5 years earlier.
Well, it could have been Bernard's influence he played on that record, on Diana's
that
record,
could be.
And he could have said, you remember what we did here? Let's try to do something similar.
Yeah, let's try to do, that's,
Although
all
I
right.
have no proof of that.
No. All right. So here's this drum intro, which is super fun to play. And I have to thank Dave Clive, my buddy Dave, for like giving me this chart when I was a kid. I'm kind of sight reading this stuff. I played it a little bit. But here we go. So 1, 2, 3. I have a pickup fill. 1, 2, 3. That's fine. So, that tune, I tried to do it justice. It's a really interesting little fill. So, first of all, I love that he's sort of playing this, pseudo. It almost reminds me of Miami Sound Machine, right? So, like, it's got sort of a Latin-ish feel, right? know, that whole thing is just a very well constructed, well thought out intro, super powerful, and so you know that's a fun thing. You guys should check out that tune, track it down, listen to the original thing, and then I love that in the verse, they go to just a heavy rock. 1, 2, 3, go. So that would be
the verse, not the pre-chorus.
Verse,
Sorry,
yeah.
my
Verse,
bad.
2, 3, And that right there, Material Girl, on the 3/4, on the third beat and fourth beat, ties that kind of together. So I love that, and you know, I think that's really interesting. And then the pre-chorus thing is really well constructed. So pre-chorus, you know, I like how he handles the hits. It's like synth hits, right? So it's like pre-chorus 1, 2, 3, 4. And then on that, he's playing. This is the hi-hat part. So again, there's a little nod to like having sort of this pseudo Latin feel.
And then is there one where he does and he got overlaps? I don't know how to describe it. He overlaps, not overlaps. The hi-hat goes, you know, into that. In the chorus.
Oh, in the chorus?
Yeah.
I don't know. Oh yeah, on these.
Like,
yeah, like that's a nod to his intro because he did that whole.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right,
Yeah,
that whole thing, and then you know it's kind of cool. Like he does these little well placed tom hits. You know, which I love and I ripped from him probably, or from somebody's record. But yeah, I mean, that stuff is all fair game, right? So Power Station. So, and there's not a whole lot of great tunes for me that came out of Power Station, but that is definitely one of them. The Power Station records are really cool to listen to, you know, Tony's playing for sure. And there's other records that you could find him on. Look at his discography. There's a whole bunch of stuff. And actually, he mentioned in a Modern Drummer interview that he was starting to work with Bruce Kulick from Kiss. Towards the end of his career, playing with a bunch, because they were recording a bunch of different rock guys. So he was doing a lot of rock stuff. And, you know, he definitely, I think he definitely contributed to the drumming world for us, gave us definitely some influence and some inspiration in playing big drum parts. And the guy was a super heavy hitter. You know, I was hitting a little harder than I usually do tonight, you know, just in the spirit of things, but definitely a heavy hitter. And, you know, he said that on a lot of those records, it was him in a big space with a brick wall. That's how they got the sound. I know it sounds super compressed and like there's some different things going on processing wise, but I think most of that is Tony, what you're hearing. So,
and I think the important thing, like any great musician, when you hear the drums, you know it's Tony. There's a lot of drummers that are out there.
yeah, exactly. That's a great point.
Yeah.
So back to, yes, Vincent, you know, what he contributed, that's one thing. When you hear Tony playing, you know it's Tony Thompson. And this string that we kind of put together for you guys tonight of tunes in this lineage, you hear those common threads through all of it, and you go, oh, there he is again.
Right.
You know, I mean, that's how on the Diana Ross tune I discovered it was him. It's just hearing it and going, that's got to be Tony Thompson. It sounds just like Some Like It Hot.
Mm-hmm.
And sure enough, it was. So check out that Diana Ross tune. I'm telling you, listen to the whole tune, man. Very cool stuff. So I want to thank my guest, Vincent LaRussa, tonight, who is helping me to lay down the foundation of this Tony Thompson episode. And it's the first of this sort of Groove Master series, and we're going to be doing more of this stuff and other great bass drum duos to come. And definitely, check out my book, Filling in the Grooves, for more exciting fill ideas. But yeah, just wanted to give a nod to Tony Thompson. Thanks again, Vincent. We're gonna sign off, and we'll see you on the next one. And by the way, there's no live stream Thursday this week for the hand technique workshop because I will be not able to do it because I won't be here. So I was gonna tell you why, but you don't need the details. I'm not going to be here, so I can't do it. So I will be back on Monday with the next Filling in the Grooves live stream, and we'll see all you guys real soon. Thank you for hanging out, everybody. Really appreciate it. Vincent, your mother was in here. Just have to tell you that your mom was here tonight. And Mike Giovanelli. Great job, guys. I don't know
who that is.
I'm not sure who that is, Mike.
But we appreciate it.
I appreciate you being here and hanging out with us. And to Vincent's dad, thanks for hanging out. Bob Sears, Lucia, Don O'Keefe, Pat Ross, Frank DiArio, awesome job. Frankie's
Cheech.
in there.
Frankie Cheech.
Yep. All right, good to see all you guys. All right, everybody. John Gill, I'll see you soon. All right, guys. Closing titles. Let's do it.